Yes, it's time to talk about The Wire, the greatest TV drama of all time. Nothing else compares, and I mean nothing. There are a grand total of 2 pieces of film media, count them 2, that have truly, so acutely captured America in all its stars and spangles. Nashville and Twin Peaks: The Return. And now, The Wire. And no discussion of The Wire can be held without talking about its most interesting character. Yes, you know and love them, and they are more than worthy of assuming the role of The Wire's most interesting character. I'm, of course, talking about the one, the only, Beatty Russell. No, not the most interesting? Oh. You thought I was going to talk about Omar, didn't you? No. This is about Beatty Russell, The Wire's most interesting character. Now, I didn't say she's the best character. Not in this show. For one, there's Omar, duh, and Bubbles, and Stringer, and Avon, and Jimmy, and Bunny, and the 4 kids from season 4, and Cuddy, and Lester, and Kima, and D'Angelo, and Frank Sabatka, and you get the gist. But why Beatty against all of these fantastically written characters? Well, let's actually introduce our subject. When we first meet her, Beatty Russell is a Port Authority officer who drives around all day and just gets through her day the best she can. She's a single mother of 2 and is in frequent contact with the dock workers, under the leadership of Frank Sabatka, one of the centerpieces of Season 2. And that's where another thing to note is. Season 2 of The Wire is one of the more controversial seasons of The Wire. It essentially bucks all expectations anybody had after the success of Season 1, and it goes in a completely different direction than expected. You wanted more focus on the Barksdales this season? How about no, actually? And you know what? Let's kill D'Angelo, and now we're gonna focus on these dock workers for a whole season. It is a divisive season, but honestly, I think it's the unsung hero of The Wire as a whole. It expands the reach of The Wire's commentary of America, it continues threads from the previous season, while also telling its own, self-contained story about the Sabatka family, about as edifying and emotionally moving as The Wire gets. It proved that The Wire was interested in telling the story of the tapestry of America, beyond just cops and robbers. It's why Beatty and the rest of the Season 2 highlight characters remain so unexpectedly interesting. Beatty spends the season involved in the 13 John Does found in the shipment case. She starts the season inexperienced, but over time, she comes into her own, and eventually proves invaluable to the success of the case. If you could call anything in The Wire a true success story, that is. And then, she leaves the narrative, her arc being done. Except, that's not actually true. Unlike the rest of the Season 2 characters, she comes back for more fun. And it's weird, because the show actively teases her grand return. In the iconic "The Job Will Not Save You" monologue from Lester, it ends on a picture of Beatty, going back to her and Jimmy's "Will They Won't They" storyline in Season 2. In a later episode, Jimmy thinks he sees her driving around.
Driving in my car right after a beer.
How you doing?
Surprise!
And finally, in the season finale, Jimmy ends up going to Beatty's place. The two enter a relationship by Season 4, and Beatty's influence helps Jimmy sober up and become an actual human being. For a time. I mean, that's the first thing that's interesting, is how they seemingly bait out Beatty's appearance. The Wire is one of the finest examples of realism. Any genre conventions and stock characters and plotlines are either eschewed or played more dryly, more realistically, and less soap opera-esque. By trying to bait Beatty out, the show kinda goes into a more crowd-pleasery mode, in a way. Jimmy and Beatty have great chemistry, and you do want them to get together, but that's not the kind of show The Wire is. The only other character that ever gets treated with this winking at the audience energy by their absence is Omar, also a seemingly idiosyncratic character that defies the commitment to realism The Wire holds. And if any character gets compared to Omar, then there's probably something special about that character. And this comparison to Omar is actually integral to why Beatty is so interesting in regards to the overall story The Wire tells. There's this piece about Omar in The Wire, and one of the most interesting lines describes Omar as existing simultaneously inside and outside a narrative. Omar is very much involved in the proceedings of The Wire's narrative, oftentimes instigating and quelling conflicts. But Omar has no allegiances. He's not in the shit like almost every character is. Most of the characters are simply unable to escape the game, as they call it. People obsessed with greed or power keep characters on all sides of the drug war in the game. This self-centered mindset disallows leaving the game, because leaving the game won't let you reap the rewards of playing the game. And Omar isn't the most selfless character, not by any means, but he maintains that level of distance from the game due to his moral code he holds himself by. In the same way, BD manages to distance herself from the game, even despite her proximity to the conflict of Season 2. The show almost teases an origin story for characters like Jimmy and Kima in the growth of BD. You might think that she will join in on the game and be as obsessed with the job as Jimmy or Kima, but no. For one, her ambitions were never more than just getting through life. She seems completely fine with Port Authority, based off her ending in the Season 2 montage. Another thing that differentiates BD from the rest of the cops we've gotten to know is her relationship to Frank Sabatka. Skipping ahead to Season 3, one of Major Bunny Colvin's trademark life lessons for his precinct is that in the good old days, police actually knew the people they policed. This is part of The Wire's commentary on the failure of modern policing, where the trust gap between cops and citizens grows wider and wider. Well, before that whole spiel, we had BD actually putting that mantra in action. She maintains a cordial relationship with the dock workers, particularly with Frank Sabatka. It's that relationship that allows Frank to finally open up to his struggles about working with the Greek. And it would have cracked the entire case open, had Frank not, died. But the true thing that makes BD stand out amongst the rest of the characters of The Wire? She has kids. Now, there are many characters in The Wire that have kids, but their children feel ancillary to their sense of self. I do not buy the idea that Jimmy actually cares all that much about his kids. And there is a litany of horrible parents being horrible at parenting in The Wire, especially when we get to Season 4. But BD's character is intrinsically tied to her kids. Her kids are why she takes this low-risk police job, because police work to the tune of Jimmy and Kima would distance herself from her kids that actually need her. It's how she doesn't fall into the addiction spiral that the game presents. Like I said, everyone is motivated by all the wrong things in The Wire. It's this individualistic mindset that creates a culture for the cops and robbers game to fester beyond control, trapping each and every character we see except for a select few, BD being one of them. This idea that having an anchor beyond oneself is what gets you out of the game is the core theme that BD's character represents. And you see this theme develop in other characters. Bunny finds meaning outside the game through not only radical police work that actually prioritizes people, but also through the kids he helps find purpose in Season 4, eventually culminating with him adopting Namond. Cuddy, in the same way, finds fulfillment outside of the game through mentorship, firstly with that one kid from Season 3, and later the main 4 kids of Season 4. Notice how, after these arcs of fulfillment, these two characters essentially leave the show, only appearing sporadically through Season 5. It's a subtle way to show that they've escaped the game. And then there's motherfucking Jimmy, the character we get to see in great depth just through how fucked up he is. And yet, there is a way out of the game, even for him. And it's literally through BD that he actually gets his act together, because he's found that higher purpose through someone he deeply cares about. He similarly kinda leaves the show in Season 4. That's right, the de facto main character actually doesn't appear in quite a few episodes. And when he finally does come back in full force, his destructive habits come back too, showing that the game has ensnared him once again. And who's there for him when he eventually sobers up? None other than sweet BD Russell. The Wire is probably the greatest show ever made. The complete masterwork of character writing sets it above everything that came before and after. It's amazing how each character is their own fully formed person, yet can represent, zoomed out, a core theme of our own world and how fucked up we can get. But there is a glimmer of hope amongst the cesspool of shit most of The Wire soaks itself in. That we can dig ourselves out of the shit and find out higher purpose in life, detached from the American individualism that toxically pervades our culture. It's that message that The Wire builds up to throughout its 5-season run. And while it saw its most potent realization in seasons 3 through 5, it was season 2 that laid the groundwork. It was through characters like BD that this theme started to be realized. Without her, there wouldn't be a precedent for the character development that many of The Wire's best characters went through in later seasons. And that is why BD Russell is the most interesting character in The Wire.
I'd like you to come in. Not in cuffs. Because you want to. I'm opening a door here, Frank.